Well, welcome everybody to a brand new episode of CEO Insights from the West Des Moines Chamber of Commerce. We are in Trilex's gorgeous studio for this new series, and our very first guest today is Todd McDonald, president of ATW Training Solutions. So welcome, Todd.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, as they would say, and pleasure to be here talking with you.
Oh my gosh. So ATW Solutions, tell our audience here a little bit about your company and what you do and how you serve the community.
Sure. Yeah. I founded ATW about 26 years ago, and what we do is we help unleash human potential in organizations. So we work primarily with other businesses that have people issues. And we tend to focus in on the interpersonal skills, things such as how do you lead people better, how do you communicate better, how do you have better teamwork, how do you provide great customer service. And then we also do some strategy work and some succession planning work with those organizations.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of topics to cover there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of topics there. We deal with about 180. We work with about 180 different companies every year. We do about 400 training sessions per year. So we're out and about in West Des Moines and in the central market.
And it looks like you also cover the world. I was looking at your map online. South America, Europe, Asia, everywhere, right? And how do you serve those communities?
Well, a lot of that is virtual.
Okay, gotcha.
We were doing virtual training before COVID, and it just happens that kind of just blossomed, for us. We do some traveling internationally with it, but I think last count we were up to 48 countries that we have served in some capacity or another with it. So, our trainers love the idea of doing that, but they don't like the 3 o'clock in the morning, which corresponds with somebody else's 8 o'clock. In the morning with them in some country. But it's a lot of fun, and it's just incredible to be able to look back and see the impact that we've had, not only here in this market, which we love this market, and our focus is here in Central Iowa, but a lot of that comes from organizations that might be here in Central Iowa that might have an office in a different country. So it's exciting.
How many people do you have on your staff now?
We have about 15 people on our staff. 15 full-time people, and then we also use some contractors. We have some different contractors across the state, that we use so that we can service, those customers a little bit easier. Nice. But we've got a great team, a fantastic team, and we've built that team over the years, and it's just fantastic to see how successful they're being.
Well, you're a trainer of great talent, so I'm sure they're amazing because you've also probably trained them as well, right? Through your trainings.
We try to practice what we preach.
Yes, exactly. So do you have any sectors that you hone in on, or industries that are really
it's not really. Okay. We do a lot of different ones. We tend to do a lot of manufacturing. Okay. We tend to do a lot of agriculture. Of course, we're in Iowa. Manufacturing and agriculture, but we do a lot of construction, a lot of finance, a lot of insurance. Okay. Again, so we're not into any one specific entity, but we do have people on our team that have had bad backgrounds in different industries. So we try to match them up with the different industries.
That industry. So you started this business 26 years ago, and it sounds like you were an innovator in that virtual space because COVID forced us all to be virtual, and so that's so interesting. So tell us about your origin story. How did you start this business and why?
Yeah. Well, I had the great luck of working for another entrepreneur for about 10 years. Okay. His name was Art Bauer, and he had a company called American Media, and I was able to work, for him in different roles up to and including executive vice president of the organization, and I saw what entrepreneurism was. And I always tell people that I had the opportunity to be an intrapreneur, which meant he let me start businesses within a business.
That's cool.
And so I was really able to learn, from him. And when we took that company and sold it to a publicly held organization, I had an opportunity to continue on with them or, maybe start something myself. And I kind of had that bug and thought, let's give this a shot. So I started ATW in my basement. Everybody talks about the garage and the
like
basement,
literally?
and this is literally one of those where
where
I started it in my basement with one other person, and then we just kept on growing, and then my family said, okay, that's enough. We have too many people coming here all the time. You need to move out, and so we moved out and have had different locations around here in central Iowa, but entrepreneurism is just something that it's an extremely hard thing. Everybody says they want to own their own business, and they think about I'm going to have so much flexibility and I can work when I want and all that kind of stuff. It's hard. It really is hard. And I work with a lot of other entrepreneurs, and I work with a lot of people that want to be, entrepreneurs, and really say, okay, what's your end in mind? What do you really want to do? Why are you doing this? And are you willing to put in, what it takes? And I have a sign in my office that says, I will do today what others don't, so I can do what others can't tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And so you look at it and say, where do you want to go, with this and do it. It was great. It gave me a certain lifestyle when my kids were younger. Mm-hmm. I did offer some of that flexibility, but I still had to make payroll. Yeah. I still had to do that. And it's one thing when you're just one person, but when you have 15 or 20 people and you're making payroll and you're thinking about how does what I do affect their lives?
Yeah.
It can be a little bit more difficult sometimes.
Yeah. Wow. Can you talk about some of the biggest challenges that you had during those times? It's just, really interesting.
I think that any organization, and there's a great book out there by Les McEwen that for the life of me, I'm just going to not remember it right now, but I'll remember it here in a second. But he talks about the business cycle of an organization.
Okay.
And when you first start, you're kind of just out there, just kind of, okay, what is this all about and what am I going to do? And then you actually start to get customers and people exchange money with you. And it's like, oh, now it's getting official. Fantastic. We're doing that. And then you kind of go through that whitewater stage of, okay, well, what do I really want to be and how am I going to do this? And then you start adding in processes and doing some different things, and you start to get a real business, out there. So I think the biggest challenge is, and the research shows that most new organizations fail in the first 6 to 12 months.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so it's really getting yourself in the right mindset and in the right skill set to be able to go out and survive that first year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was actually my conversation that I had with my wife. I can still remember. I called her from the car and said, hey, I did this thing. And she said, what does that mean? I said, well, we're going to give it a year, and if it's still viable after a year, we'll keep on going. And that was 26 years ago. So some of the biggest challenges has really been, how do you, the dealing with people. It's no different than a larger organization. How do you deal with people? And it's even more important because when you're on a team of 15, every person counts.
Yeah.
If you've got 1,000 employees, you can have one or two that are hiding in the corners or something like that, and it doesn't impact you as much. But when you have a smaller team, which most entrepreneurs start that way, you've got to pick the right people. Yeah. So getting the right people around you, and then really saying, okay, we got the right people. Then what are we going to do? Who are we? What are we going to do? What are we passionate about?
Yeah.
Because as an entrepreneur, and I fell into it as well. As an entrepreneur, when you were looking at bringing in revenue, when somebody would call and say, do you do? And I'd cut them off, say, yes, I do it.
Whatever.
And they say, I haven't told you what, I will do it.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So that, the biggest challenge is getting kicked off and reaching that point where you have what Les McEwen would say in his book, Predictable Success.
Yeah.
I finally remembered that.
There you go.
To get to that point of predictable success.
Great book.
So it's a fantastic book for anyone who's really looking at trying to, start and develop an organization and understand the business cycle of an organization.
Mm-hmm. Incredible. So ATW, fast forward 26 years. What does the future look like for you? What are some things that you want to accomplish?
We had our best year ever last year, and we're going to have a better year this year. So we just continue to grow.
Okay.
A lot of challenges and opportunities, in the environment. There's, I mentioned earlier that we do some succession planning and some strategic planning. One of the bigger issues that's facing employers and the market today is we have an aging workforce.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the baby boomers, they start to transition out in 2030. And so, in Iowa, we have a lot of manufacturing, we have a lot of healthcare, we have a lot of government, and or at least around here, those are the industries that have a lot of the more tenured employees. And so they're faced with, and what we're hearing from a lot of the organizations we work with is, and in fact, I had this with someone yesterday. They said, when we look out at the next 3 to 5 years, we're scared.
Wow.
We have some institutional knowledge that will be retiring from our business. And what are we doing to prepare?
Protect that,
and protect for that. So we're spending some more time, and really digging into that side of things. We're kind of being pulled in by our customers to do that. I think the side of, or the issue of, how do I recruit, hire, and train this new workforce. It is a different workforce. And I'm not going to say it's good or bad. It's just different. And organizations have got to look at, how do we do that? How do we attract talent? I know that's one thing that you do all the time, is think about what can we do for West Des Moines, and how can we make this a place where people want to come and they want to live, because it is very true that if they're enjoying their personal life, they're going to be happier at work. There's nothing worse than going to work and not having a good time, and then going home and not having a good time. So how do we attract that talent to Central Iowa? We've got a great story to tell. I think we do a pretty good job telling it. I just don't know that we have all the people listening to it, that we want.
Well, hence why we're doing this.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be a podcast too, as well as on YouTube. So anywhere you get your podcasts, you'll be able to listen to this. And drive time, 15 minutes is what we're kind of shooting for. We're at 11 minutes, 39 seconds right now. So this is perfect, because you can get everywhere in the metro in about 15 minutes, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty
much.
So,
that's true. That is true. And that's one thing I tell people. They say, well, how long will it take to get there?
15
minutes. That's what it is.
Or 15-minute city, which is amazing. Yeah. So you're talking about a lot of people retiring, which I've never seen so many legacy leaders retire this year that have announced to retire in last year. It's really phenomenal.
I think a lot of it has come in from, we had COVID. We're what now, 3-4 years, post-COVID, kind of, give or take. You had a lot of people that were going to retire at that time say, you know what? I'm not going to, because I don't know what the future looks like. And so now we've gone through that. We've had some, whatever you want to state it as, but we've had some economic, our culture, our world has been different.
Yeah, really different.
And so I think that those individuals are now looking at it and saying, you know what, I think it is time. And good for them. And good for them. They've earned it. Entrepreneurs, leaders, everyone earns that right to enjoy a certain part of their life, and you don't want to postpone that forever. That makes so much sense. So ATW, you do a survey. I was looking at your website. This is going on the 18th year of your survey. Tell us about the survey and some of the results you've learned over the years, and maybe trends over the years too. Well, so the survey itself is something that we did start 18 years ago, and what we do is we send this out to about 1,500 companies in the state of Iowa.
Cool.
Usually we get a pretty good response rate. About 150 to 200 of those companies will respond, and what we do is we just talk about what are their people issues. What do they see as the big challenges in their organization, with their people? How much budget are they spending on training employees? What are they doing to develop those employees? Things. We're talking now about how are you using AI? Within your organization to do some of those things. So we send that out every year. We're in the midst of doing that right now.
Okay, good.
And then we make it available to everybody free of charge. Nice. Usually in mid-September to late September. And really, what we want people to use it for is use it as an approach to look at best practices. Look at what others are doing. Not to say that everybody has different ideas and thoughts, but you can gain a lot of knowledge about things, about what are other people doing, and then that validates maybe some of the ideas that you have, and challenges you to look at things maybe a little bit differently. And so we just love the fact that we can do that for everybody, and we've had a lot of people call us and just say, thanks for doing this. This was great. I used this with my leadership team, or I did this with with my group, and so we're looking forward to seeing what the results say this year.
Cool. Well, training your team, it's the best investment you could ever make at your company, right? Like finding the talent and then training the talent.
You're talking to the guy that would preach that all the time. Yes, it is. Yeah. It really is. And if it all comes down to the people. You can have the greatest vision in the world. Frankly, you can have the greatest product in the world, but if you don't have the people that are going to make that happen, then all you have is a vision and something sitting there. So you got to have your people and what you want. And then the competitive advantage are those organizations that can get more out of their people. Than the others can.
Yes.
So how can we develop those employees in our organizations?
So you did mention earlier a little bit about the new generation. Do you have any specific training for the new generation that helps companies? To amplify them and help accelerate their careers and problem solving skills.
Absolutely, and part of the part of what we are really dealing with now with the numerous generations we now have in the workplace is really how to get them to function well together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the fact that you always have looked at your more tenured employees as being the mentors, but in a lot of cases, I know I'm hiring young employees that know a heck of a lot more about some of the stuff going on in our business than I do. The technology, the artificial intelligence, and Iowa State now has a great program on. It's got in its engineering area, in artificial intelligence engineer.
Cool.
And so, they're graduating people going into organizations just to teach them how to use artificial intelligence. And so this whole idea of reverse mentoring and having organizations buy into that, because a lot of times it's not always the tenured teaching the new, but sometimes it's the new coming in and teaching the people that have been there a while. That's amazing. I think that's the first step in understanding that you can call them different generations, but we're all people. And how can each one of those generations add to the workplace?
How are you using AI? Speaking of AI.
You know what? We're really leaning into it.
Cool.
On a scale of 1 to 10, and I don't know how you would make this scale because AI is so new, I'd probably give us a 3 or a 4.
Okay.
I use it every single day. In what some of the things we're doing. We're using it a lot in some of our sales and marketing that we're doing. We're using it in product development. Every one of the departments we use the VTO process in our organization, and so those are the people that are listening to this will understand what I mean. We have rocks for every one of the departments about how are you going to use AI this quarter. And so we're forcing our people to be thinking about that. You can still you can still do it the old way, but AI can be just a huge tool for you. And if you're my advice to organizations right now as far as AI is, look, you don't have to jump in jump in with your whole body, but you can put a foot out there and start learning about that, because if you're not, you're going to get left behind.
So true. So do you have any fun apps outside of ChatGPT that you use that's personal or business that is kind of neat that you want to share? There's so many of them right now.
There are. The one that I'm playing with, not playing with, we've brought into our organization is just a HubSpot. HubSpot being a CRM, that, and then the whole idea around HubSpot, again, those people that no one will know, is it's meant to be a hub. It connects all of your technology together, so it talks to each other. So we can use it as our CRM, we can use it for our accounting and finance, we can use it to connect up into the website. So technology, Jim Collins said in his book, Good to Great, he said technology as an accelerator. Technology is not the answer to becoming a great company, but it can certainly help accelerate your progress towards becoming a great company. So nice. Leaning into that technology, but those organizations that have, and we were one of them, you had this technology doing this and this one doing this, and it wasn't talking to each other. How do we get our technology, just like our people, how do we get our technology and our people talking to each other?
Oh my gosh. Was there anything you would like to add that we haven't talked about today that you really want to spotlight for our audience here today?
No, I would congratulate you and West Des Moines just on everything that you're doing to make this a place that people would want to come and live and work. I think that's, we do a lot of work. I do a lot of work personally, and then also through the organization with leadership institutes. And your West Des Moines Leadership Institute is one that we love to work with, and we do work for, several others here in Central Iowa. But I think that whole idea of promoting the civic side of our lives, that yes, we have a family and we have work, but what can we all do to give back to our communities? And it's those leadership opportunities through those universities and things that you guys do, which are really good. So
it's so neat. Our workforce division has expanded so much by the leadership of Kara Matheson and Meredith Murphy. We have a new high school leadership academy, which we started this year, and that's getting expanded even more next year. So we love filling gaps just like you, looking at needs, filling gaps, and helping our community thrive. So, well, this has been great, Todd.
Yeah,
thank you so much to be here at our very first CEO Insights here podcast with Trilex, and we really appreciate you. And I've got a fun pillow. Here we go.
Yeah, I saw that,
remember our hashtag, Go West, West Des Moines, Go West, WDM. Use our hashtag, and the West is yet to come. So thank you, Todd. Appreciate you.
Appreciate
you. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.